Hello and welcome to a special edition of Civil Discourse Now. I'm Mark Small. My co-host is Paul Ogden.
Good afternoon, Mark.
Good afternoon, Paul. This is Wednesday, February 1st. We're coming to you from the Red Lion Groggery in Fountain Square. With us is the owner, Wally Bolinger. Wally, welcome to the show today. Also present is Jeff Cox, who's been a frequent guest of our show. We're here to discuss, as we did last weekend, the city's ordinance that was brought into effect in August, I believe it was.
I believe so. And now, Mark, we got actual examples of what the sign ordinance means.
Yeah, and to recap what we said last weekend, we said on the show that the Super Bowl ordinance violates the Constitution. Specifically, the First Amendment of the United States Constitution and Article 1, Section 9 of the Indiana Constitution. Both of those provisions provide for free speech. Neither has an asterisk that applies to, like, commercial speech or sandwich boards, for example. The Super Bowl, when they wanted to bring it to Indianapolis, the city of Indianapolis adopted a bunch of regulations that, especially in this particular instance, limited signage for local businesses. You had to get a license or a permit and get the content of that sign cleared before you could put the sign out. And in this particular instance, here at the Red Lion, which has excellent chocolate beers.
Chocolate, what is it?
Count chocolate stout.
Count chocolate.
And that's from here in Fountain Square.
It's excellent beer. Excellent. I would recommend it.
This is a really cool place, and if you've never been here, you need to come here. And if you've never been to Fountain Square, you need to come here. If you're watching this on the internet and you're on the International Space Station, well, get a shuttle down, or have those anymore, I guess.
Or on Newt Gingrich's moon base.
But that's not going to be for a while. But they put restrictions on signage for the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is going to be held this Saturday at Lucas Oil Stadium. Sunday. I'm sorry. Okay, Sunday.
The Pacer game is being held this Saturday, and a brilliant bit of scheduling by the NBA that forces the Pacers' opponents, the Orlando Magic, to stay in Cincinnati because there are no available hotel rooms in Indianapolis, and bus up the day of the game. Major win for the NBA. Brilliant!
It's great for the Pacers. How far is Lucas Oil Stadium from here?
15-minute walk, 10-minute drive, 10-minute drive, depending on stoplights.
Right.
More than a mile.
Yeah, barely.
Maybe barely 10 blocks.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is one of 3 areas in the city that's been called a celebration zone. And that means that there are special restrictions on signage here. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, can you tell us, Wally, what happened last weekend to you? And you've been here how long?
2 years next week.
Okay.
Just like any other day, with my sandwich board on the sidewalk.
And how long has this sandwich board been out there? You've been putting it out?
Every day for the past 2 years.
2 years.
The small exception.
So this
closed
wasn't just something you put out for Super Bowl.
Same sandwich board. It hasn't changed, except for that's the print that we've chalked on there. But I put it out there like normal. Excuse me. Then Friday night, dinner rush, the first weekend of the Super Bowl celebrations. It's about 6:30, 7 o'clock, and I have a gentleman come in here and ask if I'm the manager. I say yes. He's like, come up front with me. Take me back by the bar.
Do you know who that person was?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
At this point, no, I didn't. And he comes up to me, asks me to come up front, so I walk up front, and he points out the window at my sandwich board. And he says, I'm with City Prosecutor Enforcement. Didn't mention your name, didn't show me any credentials. Quite frankly, I was too busy to really think about it. Care at that point, I didn't know what's really happening in the fast pace. And he says that your board that is in violation of the code because you need to have it leaned up against the wall or brought inside. Because, however, being that I understand that you're just trying to attract some foot traffic for the Super Bowl, I won't enforce this until after the Super Bowl.
But the fact you had to sign there before.
Exactly.
So that's, all right.
And now,
I'd like to have something nice in that later too, but being that I've had it there before.
how wide is the sign?
Maybe 2 foot.
And do we have it here so we could show the audience out there?
Unfortunately, no, I don't.
Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. The space out there on the sidewalk, we'll show that in a couple minutes too. That's what, 16, 18 feet wide?
At least.
Okay. Have you ever had anybody complain about not being able to get around the sign before?
Only I have, but that was only when the area was under construction, and they had a 2 foot deep hole right in front of our restaurant where they replaced the streets and the sidewalks. So they let it sit empty there for 2 months.
So, told you to just lean it up against the building, and you did?
Well, no, I didn't. Because he had told me, like I said, that he said, he understands I'm trying to get foot traffic for the Super Bowl and will not enforce until after the Super Bowl. So
We're not enforcing until after the Super Bowl?
Exactly. Now, I thought about this a lot. After, you know, we can move ahead a little bit to the story, I thought maybe I misunderstood, which is possible. You know, I'm still going to give myself that, you know, 99.9% positivity that I did not misunderstand it. There's that small chance maybe I did mishear. Maybe he said until, you know, he's enforcing it until the Super Bowl's over. Don't think that's what I heard, but you know, I'll give him that little bit of leeway. Just because the following night, Saturday night, he comes back about 6:30, 7 o'clock at the same time. I don't know he's out there. We're busier than we were the night before. And I have some customers in front window. I'm taking important time for a reservation at the back door to another lady. A customer from the front comes running up to me and she says, "Hey, there's somebody out front. There's two guys. A guy and a girl were smoking out front. They threw their cigarette on the ground and they ran off with their sandwich board, or with their sign," is what she said. So, you know, what do I do? You know, like I said, I've got about 15 people standing up here. I've got about 15 people standing up there. No seats available. We're on a crazy wait. And I'm looking at this old lady. She says to me, and I'm telling her, she's like, "Go down." Did you? Of course I did. I ran right out the front door. Went chasing him. I saw him right out, exited out the front door. He was maybe 20 yards ahead of me, almost at the end of the Murphy building. I yelled, "Hey, stop!" Something like that, whatever I yelled. Clearly loud enough for him to hear me. There's nothing going on. There's no traffic out front of the sign. There's a stoplight, so there's no cars going back and forth. As I get around to the edge of the Murphy, get around the corner, I yell again. I'm running after him. He's walking in at a fast pace. I'm maybe 10 yards behind again. "Hey, stop!" Doesn't stop. Keeps on walking. I finally catch up to him. We're almost at the back of the Murphy building at this point. He's taking the sign, handing it to a lady, loading it into their car. I'm like, "What's going on?" You know, because at this point is when I realized who the guy was. I was like, "Hey, what's going on, man?"
And he was the same zoning guy who had talked to you before, the night before.
Yes. He was still, at this point, has not identified himself to me. You know, it is dark out back. I couldn't see a badge. I couldn't see the credentials or anything. Doesn't mean he was wearing them. I just couldn't see him. You know, I have no idea. But he still never, you know, introduced himself to me or told me who he was or who he was with. Luckily, from a lot of people I talked to, you know, a lot of people were like, "Hey, you were a better man than I was so smart enough on the board. I probably would have either shot him or attacked him." You know, so he was kind of fortunate, I guess, according to what other people say. But I'm like, "Hey, man, what's going on?" You know, and I'm really polite at first, you know, confused but polite. "What's going on? You were here last night. You told me that I had till after the Super Bowl." He flat out said, "I never said anything like that." And that's where, like I said, where I could have doubted myself earlier. He's denying he even said anything like that. I know he said something like that. You know, like I said, I know, you know, thinking about it, I know that he told me I had till after the Super Bowl. He denies everything. Starts loading his car. We have a few choice words back and forth. I'm still at this point, I'm kind of polite. "Hey, man, let me just have my sign back. I'm sorry. I'll take it inside. I'll throw it at my back door, which is on public property, and put it out there for the people to park in our back parking." "Sorry, I've already called it in." Actually, there was no sorry. Like, "I've already called it in. You're not getting a sign." It's like, "Come on, man." I go, "There's just a misunderstanding. I mean, help me out here. You know, I'm just a small business. I didn't have sign. You know, I don't have enough money to go."
Yeah, you're not part of the national chain or anything.
Exactly. I'm not McDonald's who has flying banners. So he wouldn't do it. And finally, you know, like I said, I have a full restaurant. So I'm worried about the sign. I'm worried about the place might be going down the drain right now, just for the fact that I've got 4 servers on, all of them extremely busy. You know, my job was to greet the customers, run the tables, run food, and I'm not in here doing anything. So I'm freaking out about that. Worried about this guy out back there. It's like after maybe 5 to 10 minutes of us going back and forth. Can I just have some paperwork from him? You know, I'd like to,
A receipt?
Exactly. I go, "Well, I'll just deal with this on Monday." And the lady's like, "I'll get it for you in a second." And I was like, "Ma'am," I go, "please hurry. I need to get back to my restaurant." She's like, "Don't rush me. I'll take my time. Make this last as long as I want." And that's, you know, at this point where I said again some words I probably should have said. I just had to get back. Like I said, I had to get back to my restaurant.
Okay, and just so you know, this is the Red Lion. Excellent selection of beers. Excellent food from what I understand. I haven't eaten here.
That's the Red Lion at the end of Virginia Avenue and Prospect Street in Mountain Square.
Oh, we need to keep our voices up a little bit. After he came here, after your confrontation on Saturday, did you receive a ticket or anything? Did they give you any paperwork?
Nothing.
Did you have any more contact with anybody from the city?
10 minutes after approximately 10 minutes after I got back into the restaurant, I received a phone call. The guy asked me to speak to the manager. I was like, "This is Wally, how may I help you?" and they stated a name. I couldn't hear it very well. He's like, "This is so and so, the Department of Code Enforcement. We had your sign."
They did. Did they want a ransom for it?
That's why I had these T-shirts made. 'Cause that's exactly what it sounded like when he called me. It sounded like he kidnapped a kid of mine or something. Like I should be expecting a call back later. Someone would have dropped some money.
Did he disguise his voice or use some sort of
A
synthesizer?
voice modulator.
Yeah.
No, that would have been great if he would have. No, he didn't. He said, "We've got your sign." And then I was like, "I know. I just got done dealing with the guy out back about it." He's like, "Did you know where to pick it up?" I didn't know where to pick it up. I had no idea.
He identified himself.
He did say his name. I didn't catch it, like I said, because it was loud.
Okay. Well, first of all, we have to realize we have
We should clarify, we're actually all three attorneys.
yes.
Not very good attorneys, but we're attorneys.
Think for yourself. Yeah, really. First of all, Jeff, you used to be in code enforcement, at least kind of partly with prosecutor's office.
I used to work in the City Prosecutor's office and deal with ordinance violations. It was called the Ordinance Violations Bureau of the City Legal Division.
Okay, there's a specific provision in the new code that says that they can seize any property related to a violation, that they're authorized to do that. Does that pass constitutional muster or muster?
Well, it depends on the mustard. I mean, Cleveland Stadium mustard is the best in the country, and I don't know that it quite meets that standard. However, the courts, and I'm not saying this is right, the courts have consistently upheld civil forfeiture statutes in the context of drug enforcement, where there is a lower standard of proof required for seizure of the asset.
Okay, and first of all, this is not a medical marijuana state. Did you examine their cigarette butts that they discarded out in front of your...
No.
They might have been doing something that was otherwise... This is an establishment that serves beer, serves food, so drug civil forfeiture laws wouldn't apply.
Well, there are a couple issues here. Number one, when they talk about civil forfeiture, it's normally in the context of a crime. Now, we do not have a crime here per se. It's not a felony. It's not a misdemeanor.
No, it's a civil.
It's a civil infraction.
Yes.
That's what it is. That's that doesn't typically pass muster in terms of taking someone's property. Now, if you have a car with 400 parking tickets, then and you haven't paid them,
it's like Paul.
Then you can take the car and hold it, but you have to return it under certain circumstances.
Couldn't this be prior restraint on speech?
Well, there are a number of constitutional problems with this. It's prior restraint on speech. This is the ordinance. This is the ordinance. This is really, to put up a sign, you have to comply with this for a 1 week period, basically. This is ridiculous.
No, actually, no. It's for 30 days prior to the event, and then 1 week following the event. So it's like over a month. And also, I have a problem with it in terms of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States, seizure of somebody's property without due process of law. I mean, I can't just walk up to Paul, for example, and say, we're almost at the end of our 14-minute segment. We'll be right back.